Today's lesson, we're looking on how we can solve one-step addition and subtraction equations. If you don't understand after you get to the end of this lesson, you can get some further help by going to the videos called Carnegie M3 2.1 and Carnegie M3 2.2. Your goal for this IXL is to get to 70. If you want a challenge, you can go ahead and go to 100. If we start with the first lesson, it says 17 is equal to h plus 5. And so one of the ways that I want you to think about this is if we think about like a seesaw, on one side is 17, and then on the other side has h plus 5. And so if we think about it, these are balanced, which means they have the same weight. So on this side, I have 17, and on the other side, I also have 17. But I've got this h here, so I have to figure out what the h is so that this whole thing becomes 17. And the way that I can do that is I do it by keeping everything balanced. So if I have 17 is equal to h plus 5, I can break down this 17 so that I have a 12 and a 5 is equal to h plus 5. So this means that my 5s are the same on both sides, so I can get rid of them. And I'm just left with h and 12. So h is equal to 12. So I'm going to type that in here. H is equal to 12. On the next question, I have d plus 2 equals 20. D plus 2 is equal to 20. And again, I'm going to use my balance beam example. I've got a weight of 20 on this side, and the other side is also 20, but I don't know what d is. So if I break it down, I could have d plus 2 is equal to 20. And this 20 can break down. I need to have a 2, so the other part is going to be an 18. And that's d plus 2, which means now these go away because they're the same. And I have d equals 18. So in this example, let's think about if I had c minus 4 is equal to 11. C minus 4 is equal to 11. So in this case, again, it's still balanced. But in this case, instead of having a plus 4, I have a minus 4. So if I've got an 11 here, which is equal to c and minus 4. So let's think about what makes 11. How could I make 11 so that I have a minus 4 in it? And so this could be c minus 4. And if I did plus 4 over here, I could have 15 minus 4, because the 11 can break down to 15 and minus 4. And so my minus 4 goes away because I have it on both sides. And then I have c is equal to 15. The next method to do this is what I like to call the wall method. And so I'm going to go ahead and write it out. I'd have t plus 6 is equal to 11. And in this method, instead of breaking stuff down, we're going to notice that, well, on this end, these are balanced still. But what I have to do is I've got to get rid of all of the numbers so that my variable is by itself. So I want to have the variable by itself at the bottom. And the way I do that is by doing the opposite of my numbers. So for example, this was a plus 6, so I'm going to put minus 6. But if I do it here, I have to do it on both sides, otherwise it's not balanced. And so I do 6 minus 6 is 0, so I have t plus 0 because the t stays the same. And then 5 is going to be 5. In the next problem, I have 78 equals b plus 5. And again, I'm going to use my wall method. And I'm going to say, well, I have a b, and I want the b to be by itself. And so this is a plus 5, so I'm going to do minus 5 to get rid of it. And if I do it on one side, I have to do the same thing on the other side. So 5 and minus 5 makes 0. And then I have the b. And then 78 and minus 5 is going to make 73. So b is equal to 73. Skip ahead. On the next level, it's doing basically the same thing, but it just has bigger numbers. And so if I had g plus 706 is equal to 894. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do my wall method. Here I have a g, so I want a g by itself at the end. And I've got a plus 706, so I make a 0 pair by putting minus 706. And these make 0. So I have the g plus the 0 is equal to 894 minus 706. So if I subtract, I get an 8. 14 minus 6 is 8. 8, 188. So g is equal to 188. If you're confused by this, you can get extra help with some other methods on the Carnegie M3 2.1 video and the Carnegie M3 2.2 video. Remember that your goal is to get to 70, and if you want a challenge, you can get to 100.